5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's the new Panic Room. It's the show other shows want to be, and the show that authors want to be on.
The all-new Panic Room radio show is brought to you by hellboundbooks.com.
Well, good evening. It is, I don't know what the date is. It is the 14th of November, and it is the new Panic Room episode 164. And it's cold, I have to say. It's absolutely bloody freezing here in good old Texas. So, I struggle to stay. And I'm a Bret, we're used to it being cold and miserable, but Texas has really put some effort in today, which is joy. But tell you what I do need to warm me up.
Come on, I'm with you.
I'm doing good, and you're talking about it being cold. It's I just checked the temperature. It's 33 degrees here, so it's pretty cold here too.
It's 33. Wow, I'm going to check what it is here. It's been getting gradually colder all day. I'm going to see what it is. It is 45. Gosh,
Ooh.
We'll sit outside with the cold beer.
That's not bad.
We got down to 30, about 35, 34 yesterday evening.
Wow.
So,
guess what the low was? The low last night was 11. Now that's cold.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn cold.
We had a little bit of snow. We had snow. I think it was Monday morning.
I saw the pictures. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But it's gone.
Yeah. It's gone now. It's all melted. Huh?
Yeah.
Until the next time. Yeah.
That's it. We had snow a couple of years ago, and that's probably it for the next 10 years. So.
Well, I lived in Texas when I was younger for a couple years,
of course,
I remember flurries once, and they, school was shut down. Nobody went to the store. It was like a national emergency, and they melted as soon as they hit the ground anyway. But
yeah, it's the same here. As soon as a bit of a flurry or a bit of rain, the whole state just grinds an absolute halt, but it's so how have you been?
I'd be cold, but I'd be good. No, I'm good. This week was you say it every single time. Didn't we just do this 2 days ago? So
I know it's Thursday again. How frightening is that?
Yeah,
scary.
And, I know. My kid didn't have school on Monday, so that was an extra day with him, which means more food. And I know. But it's been nice, and I love, I complain this is weird. I totally, all summer long, I'm like, I cannot wait until winter, and I'm always talking about how much I love winter. But then I think I forget that I'm cold all the time. I mean, even in the summer, I can't get cold. So, now that it actually is cold, I'm like, holy crap, why do I love this so much? I mean, I still do, don't get me wrong. But even just sitting here right now, my hands are ice cold. So, I maybe I need to dress warmer. I don't know.
More
wine. More wine. Too.
Yeah, more wine. Yeah. Always going to guarantee to warm you up from the inside there. So that's that.
Yeah, I should just try that.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying being able to wear, sweaters and layers and socks. All that, they make you feel cozy. You just feel nice and cozy. And I like that.
I just felt cold all day. The stuff cozy. Honestly, I've been cold all day. It's horrible. And I've had the heating on. The heating's been cranked up, and I just haven't been able to stay. Yeah, the heating sort of struggled to keep up with it today.
And you guys, it's only fall too, so we got months and months to look forward to the cold weather. Yay!
Yeah, thanks for that. Great.
Right.
Great. Yeah, but hey, it's winter, so it's to be expected, really, isn't it? Be honest.
Well, it's not even winter yet. It's still fall. So.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's winter.
No, it's not. Is it really? No, it's not. It's fall.
It's
just a fall back thing.
Isn't that sort of officially winter time?
Fine, whatever you just said. I believe you. Maybe I'm going to look it up later, but.
Probably a good idea.
Right. But no, how are you? How have you been this week?
Me, I've been busy. I've been very busy. Busy.
Well, that's
I
good.
should say, time just flies by so quickly.
It does.
There's always a lot of work left and not enough week. Shit. Yeah. All those deadlines I set myself this time last week, and now
I know. Well, I guess the good thing is that some of the deadlines, we put on ourselves, so it's not like, we have somebody over us going, you have to finish this. I mean, it's for our benefit.
Yeah, but that's the problem, and I do work for the people as well, and I stick my neck out and say, I'll have it done by early next week, and then suddenly, I wish I hadn't said that. Can I take that back, please? But you can't.
But
you
see,
can't.
there's this meme that goes around that I love, and it says, why do I keep procrastinating? Well, I still get things done, and that's pretty much the reason why I keep procrastinating. Yeah, I think I work better when I know that, I'm like, oh my God, I have to have this done by this time, and so then I.
No, I'm the
stay
same.
up.
I'm the same. Yeah. That's why I will give myself a deadline. Just. And even they say, certainly for writers, because we're born procrastinators, even if you just tell, like you tell me, I tell, I know as you and I work together, I do my damnedest to keep you to deadlines, which I don't think you've managed yet, but you will hold out hope that one day you will. Tell someone I'm going to, because then it gives you that little bit of, and I think we all probably work better under that bit of pressure.
I think I do, yeah, because I do, and the bad thing is when I have a deadline every single day, I'm like, okay, well, if I get this many pages done, it's nice and cushiony, and I can do it. And the next thing you know, I'm like, holy shit, I have to get this much done in like 2 days, and it's a nightmare for those 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it every single time. I don't know. So that's what, I guess you need to start making the deadlines like, a week sooner than you actually need it, or even more than that. Just
if I told you that's what I was doing, then it would kind of, it's like telling somebody they're taking a placebo, isn't it?
It is.
I think a placebo will There's no fucking point now, really.
That's like my favorite line from the It movie was when the kid screamed out to his mom, "It's a gazebo!" Oh my gosh.
The gazebo,
Yes.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
I still want to say, oh my goodness. Okay, so weeks ago you gave me homework and you said I had to watch Shaun of the Dead. So we watched Shaun of the Dead, and I have to say it was funny. I loved the humor, which that was really good.
It was good British humor, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I Zombieland for me is number one. That's. But maybe it's been different if I've seen Shaun of the Dead before, because a lot of the times I think people tend to, like the first or whatever. And so no, well, it was good. But I'm glad I watched it. It was I think I watched. Sean watched it with me as well, and he.
Yeah. Did he enjoy it?
Oh yeah, we all did. So it was a.
Yeah, I mean it's a terrific cast as well. It was. It's a great movie. Yeah,
there was a spoiler when there was somebody who got killed in it. I can't remember the dude's name. The friend, and I was very sad at that because I liked the guy. Once he turned into a zombie, but I liked him. I was like, no, not him. But I guess it had to be so.
Yeah, I'm glad. Well done for watching it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was jolly.
Yeah, I did.
Well done, you.
Yeah.
So, hey, Xtina, because I genuinely have no idea. And people think I joke about this, and I honestly have no idea what's going on. I just turn up at sort of 9:10 and plug it all in and get things working. And I mean, to be fair, I got the jingles and the music all sorted out yesterday and uploaded and everything. So, I do have some input, but after that, I have no idea.
Right. Sometimes if we have like a clip that the guest is bringing, I have to let you know ahead of time, because there was that time that I told you, in the middle of the show, and you're like, what? And yet you still pulled it off. I was really happy.
We still did that. It still happened, but I was, well, you know better. You now tell me. There's a clip attached to this. Remember to upload it.
Yeah, but I don't.
I think it's all part of my boyish charm.
It is. I'm thinking. Anyway, you asked me what's on the show today. We have, well, I'm excited. We have Hellbound's horror author's very own Karle Johnson on the first part of the show. And, I have to say the cover of his book is so scary looking. I'm like, that's really awesome. So I'm excited to talk to him. And then later on in the show, backed by popular demand, we have Bret McCormick, because we didn't finish with him last week. We, had to cut him off, and
we did. Yes, that's great. It's nice. It'd be nice to see Bret back. And plus, as well, I actually was with him on Saturday afternoon, because we did the official live launch of Roadkill 4, which was jolly down at Fleur Fine Books in Port Netchers. So that was a jolly day. Met a bunch of the other authors in it as well. So a good time was had. I even took my daughter as well, and she had a great time. So it was fun all around. So anyway, I'm cold again now. If you, I think we should. I think you should introduce our very first guest of the evening.
Okay, our first guest is Hellbound Books' very own Karle Johnson. Woo!
Well, good evening, Karle. How are you?
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Hey, we're good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm cold as well. We're down to 37 already up here. So.
Oh wow!
I grew up on the beach in South Texas. So I grew up surfing, and the cold still bothers me. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, I grew up in England, so I'm used to it. But I've sort of gotten soft over the past 9 years, and I like the heat.
Yeah, man, you're getting soft now.
I am. I'm used to that. I like the heat here, but it drops. I was to say to Xtina, I've had because I work at home. I've had the heating on all day, and I've been there and I've got my woolly jumper on, and it's like it's my little feet are cold. And, I'm miserable. Miserable. I'm just going to moan about it till it warms up again. So, but Karle,
that's all you can do to survive.
Well, you just whine about it. Yeah, and then I will survive forever because it's a British thing as well. You get two Brits together, they will talk about the weather. Although now we have weather, we have Brexit as well to whine about. But typically that's the British topic of conversation is the weather. Whether it's either too hot, too cold. And we don't just say how nice it is. We don't just moan about it. If it's too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry. I mean, there's always something wrong with it. But it's what makes Britain great, I like to think. But Karle, thank you for joining us. Karle is the author of Invasive Species Which, and this is not me blowing snow up his skirt, I'm going to stick my neck out. The best werewolf novel I have read since The Howling and Mongrels. So, well
thank
done.
You very
well
much.
done. I'm a big werewolf fan, and I've been looking for a good werewolf novel to bounce, across our submissions, and yours popped up, and it was like, wow.
Well, that means the world to me, James. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. No, thank you for sending it along. It was. I ended up just reading it for fun as well.
That's all that matters to me.
I'm assuming you. I mean, are you a big werewolf fan, or was it just a one-off thing?
Well, I'm a werewolf fan. That was kind of my first introduction into horror as a child, and I just like creature features. I was a big fan of USA Up All Night. That was my thing in Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs growing up, and I loved creature features.
Me too.
And
Me too.
But I think my big thing is those monsters of times past, the universal monsters and everything like that have kind of gone by the wayside. And nobody talks about werewolves anymore. And if they do, it's sparkly.
Oh, I think
and everything like
that. Twilight ruined vampires and werewolves.
Yeah, Twilight
exactly.
and then True Blood too. True Blood kind of, that one as
the
well.
funny thing about True Blood is the author's from Arkansas as well. She's right out of. She's a neighbor. But I was really, I hate to see those things go away because those are the things I loved growing up and the things that scared me. And so that's kind of where my love for the werewolf stories and the werewolf movies come from. I love that stuff. It's great.
So I have to ask, what is your favorite werewolf movie?
That's a tough one.
I know.
if I had to pick one, it would probably be American Werewolf in London.
Oh,
probably.
Yeah,
The Howling's a close one.
Yeah, for me, it's The Howling. I love American Werewolf in London again because it's got more of that dark humor running through it.
Sure.
But I don't know. I think for me, The Howling was Joe Dante, wasn't it? And
I believe so.
American Werewolf was John Landis. They came out around the same time. Then there was that other one. With Angela Lansbury in it. Something of the Company of Wolves. And they all came out around the same. That was a bag of shit, to be honest with you. Terrible.
Yeah. That was what was so crazy. It was all that the early '80s body horror kind of thing. I don't know. What the zeitgeist was at the time. I was a kid, of course, so I couldn't tell you. But the early '80s werewolf boom. Yeah. It's kind of my bread and butter back then. So.
Well, I love that. You think of the movies we had at
all.
the time. There's also obviously The Thing was out in around '81, and then we had the early Romero movies. We had, I remember going to see Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, and that was just a phenomenal film. We had Alien. I mean, the late 70s, early 80s was an absolute boom for classic horror movies. And then we get all sparkly and romancy and awful. Just awful.
Well, you know, it's funny, the horror movies nowadays, and I don't know if that was a direct response to it, but with the sparkly and the twilight and the everything like that, I think the main thing for me was there was a big shift between practical effects and CGI effects. And I don't know if that was a big response to it or not, or if that's what caused it, but I mean, what makes the 80s special, you know, up to a certain point in the 90s was the practical effects. You just don't see that used anymore, really. You know, I think there's some in the Creep Show on Shudder right now, which is amazing, but it's just a whole lot of cartooning.
I've really enjoyed that because it's pretty low budget, and it's like, you know, the original Creep Show, you know, the movies. It's like the early Twilight Zones and Outer Limits, all that sort of thing, you know, because, it is practical effects, but they're great, you know, absolutely great little stories, and they're well done, and they made 6 1 hours, didn't they? Each one was 2 stories. I binge watched them, so I've seen all of them.
It was amazing.
They were really good, they're really good. But I think back in Blighty, they're making a TV series of Dracula. But I was reading a review on that, and it's all sort of politically correct and all proper and everything, which the BBC just cripples everything like that. They've made, and I am going to watch it, I think it's a 3 or 4-parter of The War of the Worlds, which is one of my favourite books, name one of the movies they've made out of it. But I remember seeing the original movie from when did that original movie come out? Was it the 50s, the 60s? I remember it being in colour. But again, brilliant movie. But yeah, they're making a 3 or 4-parter of that, so it'd be interesting to see. I'm going to watch it because it's War of the Worlds, but they're saying that they've made that all sort of, they've made the lead a female, and they've made it all politically correct and that. I mean, just, I don't know who they're supposed to be taping for, but it upsets me, it really does.
Oh, I mean, I think there's certain things that just shouldn't be touched. I don't think they should ever remake The Exorcist or
Jaws. I mean, there's talk about remaking. If they remade Jaws with CGI, it would be terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
You leave these things alone. You know, I mean, Poltergeist. They remade Poltergeist. Who on earth signed that crap off? Really?
It was.
I have not seen that remake.
Don't.
I never saw it.
I spent the whole 2 hours just wanting to watch the original. Seriously.
Yes,
watch the original again. Because that is untouchable.
Well, Christina mentioned It. And I was a little upset when they remade that. And that's one of my favorite novels of all time. And I still think neither the miniseries or the movie got it right. And I like both of them on their own merits, but when they first announced it, I was like, I don't know if I want to see it remade, but they did a great job. But again, too much CGI for me, and it wasn't tangible enough. The people, the monsters need to be tangible for somebody to be, or for me to be scared of them.
I think for me, and I've said this before, it is my, next to Salem's Lot, it's my second favourite Stephen King book. I might say it's up there, one of my favourite novels of all time. The book, you could have taken the monsters out, and it would have still been a brilliant coming-of-age book. It was for me. It was like, we'll have a monster because it's Stephen King, Daddy. Yeah. But it was the characters and the backstories and the interaction between the characters and what they were going through in this, growing up in small-town America and being the bullet. The whole thing was just brilliant. They didn't really need the monsters for me. And it was like, we got the end of the book was a disappointment. But getting there was one of the best experiences ever. It was absolutely wonderful. You know,
You're absolutely right. I heard, I was listening to an interview, and I cannot remember who it was, but they said something so profound about Stephen King. They said, Stephen King, everybody touts him as a master of horror and everything like that, but they disagree. Stephen King's a master of childhood. He could tell you a story about childhood or a coming-of-age story, and he doesn't need monsters. He's just that wonderful at it, and I agree with that completely.
Yeah, me too.
You just have to look at.
He can definitely write some scary shit, though.
Well, yeah, but to be fair, for horror, there are writers out there who can write scarier stuff. I'm looking at Clive Barker, for example, can run rings around Stephen King when it comes to horror. James Herbert was a great horror master of horror.
Peter Straub.
Yeah. You know, there's a guy, N. Smith, again, was a big favourite of mine. Gary Bradner, you know, the Howling guy, you know, I mean, all good stuff, but I don't think you're right. Nobody could touch King. I mean, again, you look at some of King's best, I guess, movie adaptations, best book, Shawshank, for example, The Green Mile, and The Body, obviously made into Stand By Me, which really... didn't have. I mean, I guess there was a tiny supernatural element to The Green Mile, but it was about people. It's about weaving those worlds, about growing up, about childhood. I think that's his strength, definitely. Absolutely. I think that's what made Carrie so successful, because she had the horror and the supernatural element, but it was about a bullied girl who was having a terrible growing up time, and that, you know. You could have taken the telekinesis out of that, and it would have still. And
you would have had a wonderful young adult novel.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
We just last week or so, we watched Christine again, and I've read the book, of course, a long time ago, and I've seen the movie, but I don't think, watching it again, I was kind of underwhelmed, or because I think. I don't know. For me, being that I had read the book as well, it just, I don't know. There were things that I was like, I think that they sped up time. I mean, I know you have to do that for a movie, but they didn't take enough time to develop, what was happening between Arnie and the car, Yeah. So,
absolutely.
It's good, but it's definitely one of the classics. I mean, it's definitely a lot different than, some of his newer things. Which, I've been hearing good things about the Dr. Sleep movie. I heard it was a really good adaptation, so I kind of want to see it.
I saw it, and, The Shining is a bit contentious for me, because I get it why everybody loves Kubrick's movie. I get it, and I understand it. I enjoy it on its own merits again. But it's nothing compared to the book. The novel, I loved. I absolutely, that's, to me, my favorite King novel. And but I think Dr. Sleep redeemed Kubrick's movie in a certain way. I think, and the guy, I think who was it, Mike Flanagan or something like that, had a lot on his plate. And I think he pulled it off pretty well. And there's some cool stuff. I don't want to spoil anything for you. So,
I enjoyed the novel. Dr. Sleep was a good novel. King's not really one for sequels, but it wasn't right. Obviously, he follows Danny Torrance, but
if there was a sequel to any King book, what would you want it to be?
Oh God!
I would say Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot. I would love to see a sequel to Salem's Lot.
Well, did you ever read the short story One for the Road? That was sort of a sequel to it. I'm actually rereading it right now, and that's the only reason I brought that up. And it's in Night Shift, and it's a kind of a sequel to Salem's Lot. It's kind of neat.
Well, I read. I must have read it. I read Night Shift many. That was the first King book I ever read. So I must have read it, and it lost in the mist of time, But
or you watch the new Castle Rock, which is but
no. Really. I battled through the first season. It was No. Didn't really get me. I'm just giving this new season a miss, to be honest. Is it any good?
Well, I was no.
No.
Put it plainly.
No.
I have a big problem with them rewriting the characters that he created, and I mean, you put like arguably one of his most popular characters in the book or in the show to sell, revenue, I guess, just to get ratings, and you completely disregarded what made her an important character to begin with. And so I had a major problem with that. And then you throw in Jerusalem's Lot, and things just kind of go haywire from there. But people seem to love it. So
people, yeah. I've never seen it, to be honest. And I watched some of the Stranger Things, and to me, I get a Castle Rock vibe from it, like the Stephen King, but I just the small town and the kids, and I just get a Stephen King vibe, and I think that's basically the reasons I was really, a fan of the show, was because I just felt that, so. Well,
those guys hit a home run with that. I'm an unabashed Stranger Things fan. I wear that on my sleeve. I think it's a wonderful show, and
it is.
And that's the way things like that should be. I mean, to me, that's a new Stephen King story right there with Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Well, they've made no. They've made no bones about the fact that they have emulated, obviously, the 80s movies and Stephen King, and there's a lot of neat little references in there, which is really cool.
For sure.
So, but again, on its own, it is incredibly well done. It's building on the nostalgia wave of the 80s, but it's great. It's well thought out. It's well written. The kids are just perfect. The kids have got a tremendous bunch of kids there. Although these days, I said last week, trying to find a movie that doesn't have Finn Wolfhard in it is difficult these days. It pops up in everything.
Oh, he's going to be in the new Ghostbusters movie too, for God's sake.
Everywhere. Yeah, he'll probably retire at sort of 15 or something. Made his money. I'm done.
Malcolm in the Middle style.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Karle, I want to hear more about your book, Invasive Species. I'm looking at the tagline here, Change is the Ultimate Invasive Species, and tell us a little bit more about it.
Oh, well, I mean, it's bare bones. It's Night of the Living Dead, only with werewolves, and that's the best way I can describe it. I mean, the werewolf, to me, is the personification of change, and change can come in a lot of different ways. It's in my story, it's people with a certain mindset reacting to a different point of view coming along. It could be something as simple as, or not as simple, but it'd be something as like a parent, a divorced parent, bringing in their child that's been separated from them, so now they're a single parent, or going from addiction to recovery. So it's all those things, and to me, the werewolf is the chaos. It's the personification of the chaos of it all. So it takes place in a small town in Arkansas, which is where I'm living, and it was the perfect setting for me. My wife and I were driving up to a small little hippie town up in northwest Arkansas, and I kind of fell in love with the area. We go camping up there all the time now, and so it's kind of all came together. And luckily, somebody liked it, and that was James. So when he was, I have not yet read it, but I have to say that James did talk about it so much, and I remember when going back and forth with the cover and how excited he was. I didn't talk to you as much as I talked to James, but
I have to say he was just as excited as you were. I think maybe even more. I mean, he really talked about it a lot. So it's definitely on my list to read.
Well, so, I appreciate it. This guy's my hero. So, it's just after so many rejection letters, and then I literally checked my email one day, and it was the email from James saying, "Hey, can you send it?" He's kind of going into shock, and I was like, "No, this guy's fucking with me." But it was, and I called my wife and I had her read it, and she's like, "Yeah." So this guy was great. So.
Yeah. Do you have a reading for us? Do you have an excerpt to read for us?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
Let me put it up here.
Okay.
Okay. Well, this is kind of from the prologue here, so I'm going to start whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, it's all yours.
All righty. He felt something inside of him snap. He forced himself not to cry out. Tried to get up, but pain radiated from his ankle all the way up his spine. His feet couldn't carry him, no matter how much they wanted to. The wolf thing was almost done ripping the cart to shreds. Cole had to find somewhere to hide. Even in his panic, he knew where he was. Just a few feet ahead of him was the cow's main watering hole. It was a small, dirty pond that lately had been a bit of a snake problem. Cole wondered if werewolves were hydrophobic. Hadn't he read that somewhere? In a comic book, maybe, or perhaps he saw it in a movie. Cole hated snakes, but he figured he'd make an exception if it meant not being ripped to shreds. A few yards from the pond lay a small swath of trees where he and some of the other hands would take breaks in the shade, sneaking beers or passing joints around while the cows grazed and drank. Just after those trees was a large valley with the mobile homes lying on the far end. If he had heard them, maybe they would hear him, especially if he screamed really, really loud. But could he make it to safety? Could he scramble up the tree on only one good ankle while he waited for them to come in force with trucks and guns? Wolves couldn't climb trees, could they? Not even gigantic monster wolves. Panic took over, and Cole didn't wait to find safety. Help, he screamed so hard he thought he popped a lung. Someone, please help me, please. The wolf thing was on him. He opened his mouth to take a deep breath. One more scream ought to do it. Diego, Ricky Lee, everybody would hear him. They'd be there in a flash. Cole would be mangled and mauled, sure, but he'd be alive. The wolf, on the other hand, wouldn't stand a goddamn chance against his friends. Something flashed in front of Cole's eyes, but before he could see what it was, his eyes were gone. He was engulfed in a world of blackness. He tried once more to scream, but found that his breath had been taken away along with the lower part of his jaw. Blood then spewed in a torrent from his mangled face. He gurgled instead of screamed. He could sense, in his blindness, that the ravaging was only just beginning. He gurgled again, this time not trying for help, but asking the God that only moments ago made such a beautiful night, why? If it had been hot, if it had only been just uncomfortable enough to make Cole ache for air conditioning and cold beer, he would have sped things along. He would have been in his truck on the way to Oklahoma and far away from whatever horror had found its way to Everly Ranch, to Maldus. If only. The monster's claws dug into him, and Cole felt the thing ripped him from groin to sternum. His balls let loose, and a warm jelly slid down his abdomen. The wolf began to eat him, and Cole felt every excruciating bite. The town of Maldus slept. A howl, angry and victorious, broke the cool summer night sky. Soon, others would join it.
I have to say, this werewolf is definitely not like the Twilight werewolves or the True Blood werewolves. So.
Thank goodness for that.
That's kind of what I was shooting for. That was my aim there.
Thank goodness for that.
I have been watching Buffy. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and we've just met Oz, which if you guys know anything about Buffy, he's our werewolf, and again, nothing like Oz. So. Kind of
Buffy,
scary. Yeah.
I never watched. My best friend in high school loved Buffy, and he always tried to get me to watch it. But I was always I never watched it. I was always, my head was always wrapped around the movie. I loved the movie. I thought it was great. But I picked up, I think, a single comic book, and that was it. But I need to watch it. I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, I love Buffy, and I'm just the opposite. I did watch the movie because you kind of have to, But no, I love Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy. I mean, I don't know really, too much aside from that, but I don't know. I love the show, and it was something that I can watch over and over again. And as a matter of fact, I'm watching it again right now with a boyfriend. He's he's seen it before, but I've like really seen it. So here I am, pretty much quoting every other, line and stuff. So no, I love that. And there was a time when I was younger that like I could equate any kind of situation. There was like a Buffy quote for that, And
Sure.
I'm not much different. Yeah, I'm not much different now. So totally Buffy nerd. So if you ever decide to watch Buffy, you just give me a holler and I'll talk you through Buffy.
Hey, you're gonna be my guide. All right.
Yeah.
You might get a call tomorrow.
No, but there's a really cool werewolf in Buffy, and if you do watch it, you'll meet him eventually. So, but again, nothing like your werewolves. They're scary and bloody, and sounds like a lot of fun to write though.
Oh, it is. Being gross is always fun sometimes. I think I'm still a 4-year-old at heart, so it always works out.
Must be a guy thing. So we were talking about sequels earlier. Is there a sequel to Invasive Species, or will there be, or can there be?
You know what? I hope not. I really don't. I love that story, and I like the characters in it. But I will say that a very, very minor character from that book is now my main character and my work in progress. So.
Oh, neat.
So it's all connected, and so that's kind of what I'm, hopefully James will get to read it soon, hopefully. But
I shall eagerly await that one, definitely.
Oh, great. There's no werewolves in it, unfortunately, but it's about witches, so witches are cool too, I think.
Oh,
so.
cool! Yeah, witches are good. Good. I shall yeah.
So. Here's hoping, but yeah, I don't know if I could ever write a sequel to something like that. That one, that the story took a lot out of me, I guess. And if you don't burn it to the ground, you're not doing it right, if you ask me. So
yeah.
So
no plans for a sequel is the short answer.
Well, that's okay too. And sometimes I think they're way better if you would just stand on their own. And then not only that, but I also the characters still, if they speak to you again, if there is a sequel in there, they'll let you know. And I don't think that it can it's something that can be forced. Really, I guess that's what my curiosity with Stephen King writing the sequel to The Shining was. After so many years, what had Danny been like haunting him all this time? I mean, that's just a question. I would love to get him on the show and ask him some of these questions, but
I'd give anything to get 2 minutes alone just to But
right.
I have a theory about that. I have a theory about Dr. Sleep. Is I think he wrote The Shining when he had his son. He was an alcoholic. He was a drug addict. And I think maybe he's watching his grandkids grow up, and he's kind of looking at his son as a grown-up now, and that's what maybe inspired him. I'm not speaking for him because I have no idea. So, but this is my little theory because I always wondered that myself. It's like, why would you do that? The Shining was perfect the way it was. So,
right.
Well,
I hate to say this, Karle, but it is just about time for our first segment to be over with. And I thank you for coming on the show. I didn't have to badger you too hard to come on, so hopefully you'll say yes when I ask you to come back. That's where you say yes. I'd love to come back sometime.
Of course.
We didn't even have a chance to talk about the punk rock. And I was looking forward to having a chat about the punk rock band, so we need you back on. So we can,
absolutely.
We've had guests on Players Tunes before, so a bit of punk rock might be just what we need.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Be happy to do it.
That'll be great.
I will make that happen.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds great, guys. We'll be happy. I'll bring the guys with me.
Excellent. So if you could just, before we go, just tell us where we can find you, Karle.
I'm on Twitter. I have no idea what my Twitter handle is, but my name's pretty easy to, it's pretty unique. So you can look me up on Twitter, and that's pretty much it. I'm not a social media guy. You can look up my band, Narrow the Narrow, and you can find me on Hellbound Books. So, reach out and holler.
And of course, the Invasive Species will be available on audiobook very, very soon.
Yeah. I
think we didn't you just finally okayed that, I believe, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounded amazing. The narrative was great.
So hopefully that'll be out. Hopefully in time for Christmas. That'll be phenomenal. That'll be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to actually get to speak to people that I've been. We email backwards and forwards from month to month. So, but thank you. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Hey, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys. All right. Bye.
Okay, Karle. You have a great rest of your evening, and we will be back after this.
Radio Show is sponsored by Hellbound Books, purveyors of all manner of dark fiction. You can find the publisher along with links to all their available works across platforms at hellboundbookspublishing.com. Hellbound Books is proud to be the first in the indie publishing business with a very own app on both Google Play and the App Store. In the mood for something steamy to read, check out new erotica author Jennifer Lynn's website at jenniferlynnerotica.com. You can find James at his website, www.jameslongmore.com, and Xtina has an author page found on the Hellbound website. Don't forget to follow the Panic Room Radio Show on social media. Our Facebook page, Unofficial The Panic Room Radio Show, Twitter at Panic Room Radio, our YouTube channel, The New Panic Room Radio Show, and come visit our website at www.panicroomradio.com.
Welcome back to part 2.
Well, we're back. I played that government hooker, obviously Lady Gaga. Actually, one of my daughter's favourites when she was about 6. She used to sing it in the car, bless her. I played that for Donald, bless him. Got thoughts and prayers, Donald. Thoughts and prayers. Who's obviously the impeachment thing started this week. So interesting stuff.
I never know what music you're going to play. It's just such an eclectic, mix of stuff. I have no clue ever what you're going to play. It's interesting.
Well, just keeping you on your toes.
Definitely.
It's whatever inspiration grabs me at the time, really. But so yeah. I was going to say something very, very profound there, but it's left me. It's gone. It obviously wasn't that profound. Oh, it's so profound. It's too profound to be for words, but
that's got to be what it is.
So I think instead I'm going to play this.
Grab him by the pussy.
You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
It actually sort of occurred to me. In fact, I was reading an article earlier today saying that Donald Trump speaks at the level of an 8-year-old, which, to be fair, is pretty insulting to most 8-year-olds, to be honest with you. He speaks. You listen to that. He speaks like when I used to write on the old proper, the typewriter. The one with the ribbon and the funky old keys and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And you'd start off a sentence and you sort of write yourself into a corner, and then try and write your way out. I mean, with word processors now, it's just so easy just to But I would often do that. And Trump does the same. He starts off, you know what uranium is? Yeah, right. And then he's in a corner because he doesn't know. He doesn't know what it is. So he starts to waffle. Things, and I mean, things is obviously the word for the uninformed, really. Bad things. I'll throw in an adjective, bad things, and it's just like, it is like listening to I wouldn't even say an 8-year-old, I'd say 5 or 6-year-old trying to form their thoughts into the word. They have limited vocabulary, they are learning, although Trump's actually seems to have gone backwards over the last 3 years, but how such an absolute dimwit managed to become president really is testimony, I guess, to the intellectual capacity of his voters, to be honest with you. But there you go. But if you anybody listening to the show, make sure you get out and vote, people. Because I can't imagine we have many not the way we go at it. Have many Trump voters listening in.
No, well, they if there were, they stopped. So.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we would know. We would know. Yeah.
Oh goodness. So I am really excited to bring on our next guest because, I wanted to make the joke earlier about, how we always say, hey, didn't we just do this? So I wanted to say about our second guest, seems like we just had him on last week, and we did. So I know. See, I was
in many ways. Well,
yeah.
do you know what? You can do the gag. Do the gag and introduce him, and it'll all be jolly. You go for it.
Yeah. Well, see, now you ruined it, and okay. I was just gonna say, backed by popular demand, Bret McCormick. Woo! That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, is that it? Oh,
yeah, it was.
That's the best you can do for Bret. Really. I'm disappointed in you, Xtina. I really am. But it is with great pleasure to again. We didn't have enough of him last week, so we're wheeling him out again. It's the one and only Bret McCormick. Hey, Bret, how you doing?
Thank you for that fantastic introduction.
It was so much better than Xtina's, wasn't it? She was terrible. She was terrible. You can't get the staff. You really can't.
Oh, I think you guys are doing fine. I'm glad to be back. How are things going for you in the last week?
Oh, no, it's gone so quickly. It's gone so quickly. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say,
so what are your feelings about the way this Trump impeachment thing is going to work out?
I haven't had the time to look at a lot of detail. I just picked up headlines and whatnot, but obviously people are getting upset. It was one of some Republicans come out and said it's unfair because it's all negative towards Trump. So I think he's kind of missed the point of the whole thing. I don't know. It all seems like a bit of a circus to me. It seems like a lot of saber rattling, a lot of noise, and I don't think. They're going to go through all of this. I don't think that much will come of it. They're certainly not going to remove him from office. I don't know. What do you think, Bret?
Well, I owe a debt of gratitude to Donald Trump because without the line about grabbing pussy, I wouldn't have had the inspiration for my novel that you guys published.
Wow.
Well, there you go. So we have that. We have one thing to thank him for. And to be fair,
sometimes one is enough.
That was a damn good novel. So I'm gonna say that was worth it then.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Donald.
Thank you, Donald Trump.
He's took jokes for the last years. So there's that as well.
What was that?
You broke up a little bit.
He's kept us jokes for the last few years. So was that thank you?
There was definitely a lot of comedic stuff going on there the last few years. Yeah, if anything, we can say that was. I guess.
Speaking from a comedy point of view, a lot of comedians, certainly political comedians, have got lazy. I'm a big fan of Trevor Noah, for example. And he always rips from Trump. He doesn't have to write an awful lot of material. He just plays a Trump clip, and the comedy's there.
You're right. It's true.
Because Trump is a parody of himself, and it's just like, well, that clip we have a few clips we like to play on the show, and it's all straight from Trump's own mouth. The man's just he's comedic all by himself.
Yeah, it's true.
But, we had the official launch of Roadkill 4 on Saturday. Wonderful to see you again.
It was good. It was a good time. Thank you, James.
Thank you for organizing it. It was
and thank you, Floor Fine Books in Port Neches, Texas, for hosting us.
Yes, Rick and wasn't there. He was out shooting Bambi, as Rick put it.
Yeah.
In it, but they do look after us, and they're great people, and brilliant independent bookshop. They support a lot of the local. You say in Texas, you say local. Texas is so flipping big. Local covers a lot of ground. But
right.
They have Joe Lansdale there a fair bit. I met Stephen Graham Jones there a month or two ago. So yeah, it's great. Always nice to find these places that are prepared to support us. Even if you're not sort of Stephen King or Clive Barker.
Absolutely, yeah. There's an organization in Fort Worth called Endeavor Cinema. It's a group of local filmmakers, and they've reached out to me and asked if we would do a roadkill event in Fort Worth. I'm supposed to make arrangements with them tomorrow, so hopefully we'll get some of the contributors who are close to the Metroplex to be able to attend that event as well.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. So make sure you send pictures.
Absolutely.
So, again, I think I said last week, but we've got a lot of things going on. So, which projects are you here to talk to us about tonight, Bret?
Well, I wanted to do my second reading from
Skin Dreams.
Skin Dreams.
Yeah.
Skin Dreams, and it sort of explains a little bit about kind of how the book came to be. A mentor of mine when I was making films was a man named Brownie Brownrigg, SF Brownrigg. He did 4 sort of drive-in horror classics back in the 70s, and people who are familiar with exploitation films from that era are especially familiar with Don't Look in the Basement, but his second most popular film is Poor White Trash Part 2. And that was sort of the inspiration for this novel. I was trying to think, well, at this late date, all these years later, what would a Poor White Trash Part 3 look like? And and that was sort of the origin of the novel.
Okay.
And the reading that I have tonight kind of explains a little bit of that for the reader. Sadie, when she moves to Austin, ends up staying with a man who owns a tattoo shop, and he's got a roommate named Jerry, who's sort of like this highly intelligent, underachieving guy who writes a lot of books but doesn't make much money. And he sort of takes Sadie under his wing and begins educating her because she spent most of her life in a mental institution and she's really not very knowledgeable about the world. And she gets a very eclectic education from Jerry.
Okay, but I'll tell you what, with that introduction, do the reading, sir.
All right, I would love to. Glad you asked.
Go for it. Well, you did hint rather strongly, so it would be rude not to.
All right. When Thompson came back home, me and Jerry were on the sofa in the living room watching Poor White Trash Part 2. Now, Jerry knew more than you'd ever guess about that movie, where it was made, details about the man who directed it, and the woman who wrote the script. The director's name was SF Brownrigg, but Jerry mostly just called him Brownie. This man was a filmmaker in Dallas, Texas back in the 1970s, and he directed 4 movies that Jerry was real fond of. These movies were Don't Look in the Basement, Poor White Trash Part 2, Don't Hang Up, and Keep My Grave Open. Watching movies with Jerry was a whole new kind of experience for me. You might say it was sort of layered. The first layer was the movie itself. The second layer was the background information on all the people who made and distributed the movie. The third layer was all the stuff that Jerry and other writers had done with their knowledge of the movie. And you might even say there was a fourth layer. That was what I thought about the movie. Jerry was real keen on getting my reactions. He said some of my observations were astute. Astute was not something I'd ever been accused of being before. Watching a movie with Jerry was kind of wonderful in a completely unexpected way. We started out watching Poor White Trash, That was a movie made in the late 1950s by a fellow named M.A. Rips. It was a pretty typical movie for that time, nothing special. The original name of the thing was Bayou. It was distributed by a big company in Hollywood, but it didn't do so well. Old Mike Rips wasn't the sort of man to give up easily, so he bought the film back from the distributor. I think it was United Artists or some such. Then he shot a scene of a woman running naked down a trail. That was considered pretty nasty for the time. He changed the name of the thing to Poor White Trash and started making the rounds to all the drive-in theaters all over the southern United States. That new title drew people in. It's what Jerry called lurid. And after folks saw there was a naked woman in the movie, word spread like wildfire, and Mr. M.A. Rips made a bundle of money. When this Brownie Brownrigg character made his movie sometime in the early 1970s, it was called Death is a Family Affair. A woman ends up stranded in a swamp, and she's being chased by a mysterious killer. She's taken in by this hillbilly family, and things just go from bad to worse. There's a bunch of gruesome murders and a lot of sleazy talk. This movie didn't really have a blessed thing to do with the first one, just like the first one didn't really have anything to do with Poor White Trash. But when Brownrigg asked Mr. Rips to help him sell the movie, they came up with the idea of calling it Poor White Trash Part 2. Enough people in small towns remembered seeing a naked woman in the first movie, and they came to see the second one for more of the same. I don't recall any nudity to speak of, but there sure was a lot of killing. I guess that word-of-mouth thing works just as good for violence as it does for sex. Anyway, me and Jerry were having a fine time watching the movie and sort of poking fun at it when Thompson came in through the front door with his arms full of groceries.
You know, I would go see a movie called Poor White Trash. So I think they might have had something there. I think that would have sparked my curiosity as well.
Hey, I wanted to let you guys know. Last week, after I was on the show with you guys, I did a post, sort of a tongue-in-cheek post about the book, and I got cited for hate speech on Facebook.
Oh no!
And I couldn't get them to spell it out specifically, but it seems like the phrase that they were finding fault with was white trash, and and that amazes me because there are clips from South Park. There's a whole episode about, you know, I'm being busted because I'm poor white trash. And that plays on Facebook all the time. It doesn't get censored. So thank you, Facebook.
they are getting so puritanical. You know, it's frightening. It's frightening. And yeah, I mean, in fact, just today there was. I'm just flicking through this morning, and there was a clip somebody had posted of a python eating a puppy. And if I really don't want to see. If I want to watch a python eating a puppy, I can do that at home. Seriously,
right?
I can go get a puppy and bring it home and get my python to eat it. But I really choose not to do that. But yeah, and it's a favorite. And I've said this before. One of my favorite things to do on Facebook, just to fuck with them, is I will post topless pictures of Chaz Bono. Because technically. They are female nipples, and they don't touch it. They don't, and it's political correctness gone crazy, you know. Because by rights they should remove the picture because it's a female with, you know, showing her nipples. It's shock horror. It can show beheadings, it can show shootings, it can show animal cruelty. But by Christ, you can't put a nipple on Facebook.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And yet they can't remove it because it would be. You know what I mean? It's because it's transgender and you'll offend people and So I can just imagine somebody at Facebook killing themselves over the fact that I've posted that because they don't know what to do. You know, it's just like it's like when you go to McDonald's and ask them to take the pickles out of your Big Mac, and they just like they look frantically on. I mean, and you don't want to cast aspersions on the people who work at McDonald's, but their register has pictures. You know,
speaking of which,
that's the thing. So, and they're looking for the picture. Where is it with that pickle? And invariably, you get it with. You always, because my son doesn't like pickles, so every time he orders that, just take and sell the pickle off. And he eats potluck because there's no picture. There's no picture. Anyway, sorry, I'm waffling on. We do have a caller, so I must apologize.
Excellent.
I'm going to bring the caller on. Hello, caller.
Hi there.
I'm so sorry. I got waffling about McDonald's. I'm so sorry. How are you this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. And how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. And I presume you wish to speak to Bret.
I would love to. Hi, Bret. How are you? This is Joe Rude from El Paso.
Hey, Joe. How's it going, man?
It's going great. It's going great. I got through.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, absolutely. I tried to do it last week, but I'm not too hip with podcasts, so I kept waiting for somebody to say the phone lines are now open, and
Oh.
So, anyway, but that's my fault because I'm kind of behind the times. But I wanted to talk to Bret a little bit. We've discussed Brownie Brownrigg on Facebook a little bit here and there. I know that he was a mentor to you. He's a big influence on me. I'm a big fan of his and a fan of yours now, Bret, because of after reading Texas Schlock cover to cover, I started trying to track down some of your films and have enjoyed the ones that I have seen. But I wanted to, I know that you and Brownie had talked about once upon a time doing a sequel to Don't Look in the Basement, which you didn't do, but that his son did many years later. And I was wondering if you guys ever did actually talk about any kind of sequel to Poor White Trash. I know, or Poor White Trash Part 2. I know that I've ordered my copy of Skin Dreams. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm gathering from what I've heard that much like Poor White Trash Part 2 to Part 1, it's not a true sequel in the sense that it picks up where the predecessor left off or anything like that. But I wondered if you guys ever talked about doing any kind of work on that or any of his other films or his Freaks project that he always wanted to do. Did you guys ever work on anything together at all?
We really didn't. We spent a lot of time getting drunk together and talking about projects we wanted to do, but we never really managed to put anything together.
Okay.
We talked about doing a sequel to Don't Look in the Basement. We also talked about doing a sequel, or not a sequel, but a film about a black obsidian mirror that allows spirits to enter this world. But and those were scripts that we sort of got a draft or two made, but we never actually produced anything.
I see. Okay. Well, I love the stories in Texas Schlock about you using Brownie's editing bay and him going for a dip in the pool and half in the bag and stuff like that. Really really great stuff to read there.
Brownie was a great character. He was very helpful to me in a lot of ways. His family was always very welcoming, and I have a lot of really fond memories of that guy. He made some really, for the time, some very gruesome and off-putting motion pictures to a lot of people, but he was a real decent guy. I liked him.
I always sensed that he was a real down-to-earth, blue-collar kind of guy, and that was one of the things that I always found interesting about him, and I've been a fan of his for a long time. I actually had the pleasure of spending an afternoon with Camilla Carr a couple of years ago, and she pretty much backed up everything that I had ever heard anybody say about Brownie Brownrigg, was that he was just a real sweetheart and a real great guy, and it was just so great to sit there and listen to her talk about working with him and working on Poor White Trash Part 2 and some of the hijinks that went on behind the scenes and things like that. So,
Camilla Carr was such a talented actress and had such an unusual look. I really expected her to go a lot farther and become the next premier horror diva. At the time, I was kind of disappointed when that didn't happen.
Yeah, by the time I got into Brownie's films, this was like in the early 90s when I was in high school, because, you got a couple decades on me, but I remember looking into things back then required. I mean, this was pre-Google, so I would go to the library and try to find things out, and I always thought that, yeah, you're right, she should have become, more, but she's got quite the fan base of her own, and she's a sweet lady, and I was so thrilled to get the chance to just sit and talk with her. So yeah, that was great. But yeah, I wanted to let you know that I love Texas Schlock, I love Abomination, and I love the fact that that there are people out there that are familiar with Brownie's films, and that more and more people are becoming aware of them. In fact, a mutual friend of ours pointed out to me today that I guess American Horror Story last night had an homage to Brownrigg and the final scene in Don't Look in the Basement. So,
excellent.
Yeah, and I thought that was really cool. I haven't actually seen the show myself, pardon me, but yeah, I guess, better late than never, right?
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. While you're on the air, you should go ahead and tell folks about your own documentary endeavor about Brownie.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Bret. Yeah, back in 2015, I managed to get the people that own the building, which is called Louisiana Hall, which was Stevens Sanitarium in Don't Look in the Basement. It's in a small town called Tawakona, Texas, and I had to very politely kind of pester these people to let me stay there, and they finally caved, and they handed me the key and said, have fun, and you're going to be here by yourself all weekend, so knock yourself out, and just lock the door when you're done. And so I went in there. I spent the weekend there by myself, and I went through every nook and cranny of the building and shot tons of stuff. And I also stayed at the House of the Seasons in Jefferson, Texas, where Don't Hang Up, a.k.a. Don't Open the Door, was filmed. And I put a little fan-made tribute film to Brownie Brownrigg called Don't together. And people seem to really enjoy it. It was a labor of love. But, yeah, thank you for letting me mention that, Bret. I appreciate that.
No worries, man.
Cool. Thank you.
And I can't wait for you to get your copy of Skin Dreams, because it really is great. And what a cover! Did you see that cover? I love it.
I saw the cover, and I loved what you said last week, that Bret could really write like a female.
I still, there were still, questions for me about, why he didn't choose to write maybe in a third person or something, but he just did such a great job writing Sadie. I swear, a couple pages into reading her and her thoughts, I actually was like, this is Bret McCormick. This is a guy writing right now. I was I was confused. I was. It was so good.
But pleasantly surprised, right?
Yes, yeah, it was great.
That's terrific. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, and thank you, Bret.
You bet, Joe. Thank you for calling.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Well, I hate it, but I think we are just about out of time for our show.
The time
I know.
Where's it gone? I have no idea where it's gone. We need to get Bret back on next week.
I'm telling you, we just, we have so much fun. We do, and we never have enough time. That's the, so yeah, we definitely, I can't wait to have him back though, because he's, and also he brings really cool callers with him, and that's, awesome for us too.
Well, thanks guys. I had fun.
Yeah, thank you, Bret.
No, thanks a lot for joining us again, Bret. Really appreciate it. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank
Definitely.
you. Same here.
Always a pleasure. And do you want to give a quick plug for something before we go?
I beg your pardon?
Do you want to give a quick plug for something before we go?
Yes, read all the Hellbound books you can possibly get your hands on.
Woo,
I
like
like
that
it.
one.
Yeah, buy more. But Christmas is coming up. What better Christmas gift than a Hellbound book? That could be our motto, I think, this year. So, thank you for the shout out. Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
You bet.
So I'm afraid we're going to have to say goodnight, and hopefully we'll have you back on the show very soon again, Bret.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. You have a great rest of your evening.
You too, James.
Okay.
Bye, Xtina.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And it is Xtina. I'm afraid it is that time. We have to say goodnight, Xtina.
Good night, Xtina.
Good night.
Love you like I don't know why I love you, don't know why I care. I just want your love to share. I wonder why I love you like I do. Is it because I think you love me too? I wonder why I love you like I do, like I do. I told my friends that we would never part. They haven't said that you would break my heart. I wonder why they think that we will part. We will part. When you're with me, I'm sure you're always